You're listening to Ecosysteming, the podcast redefining economic development through the lens of equitable entrepreneurship. Join NC Idea as we engage with entrepreneurs and experts who are challenging the status quo and driving lasting change.
Welcome, viewers and listeners of the Ecosysteming podcast. I am your host, Tom Rue, and today, oh boy, do I have the great pleasure to be joined by, well, frankly, somebody that I call a dear friend. I hope it's mutual. We're going to find out here in a second. But I'm here with Talib Graves Mons. Talib, thanks for joining me in studio today.
Yes.
It's a pleasure to have you here. Talib, I'm sure, will be known to many people tuning in because he is a man of multiple titles and multiple talents.
Yeah, thank you.
And I really want to dig in there and maybe start with, if you can indulge me for a second, and I share some of your very impressive CV.
Yeah.
But then we can jump off on any one of these, things you're working on as a way to have this conversation. So, I think this is kind of in priority area. You can correct me afterwards, but you are managing partner for Partners in Equity.
Yes.
Which is an economic development play that NC Idea had the privilege to help fund, something you've done in partnership with Wilson Lester. You are executive director and board chair for Knox Street Studios, and you do a great portfolio of work there that we've had the good fortune to support as well, with Lee Gray and Richard Brown. You are, and just so you know, how accomplished Talib is, right? Because these are now some shoo brands here. You are an Aspen Institute Fellow in Wealth Innovation.
Yeah.
Still doing that, yes?
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen to you all calm and suave.
Calm before the storm.
Is that what's happening?
It'll get stormy.
Is the storm about to unleash? You're a fellow for Resiliency.
Yeah.
And you're a co-founder of Black Wall Street.
Yeah.
Which was a project early in the days that we had the pleasure of supporting. And frankly, I don't know if I ever told you this, the Black Wall Street activity was probably the precursor and inspiration to what became our Black Entrepreneurship Council.
Oh.
So like what I saw that you and your partners there were working on kind of inspired us to say, there needs to be a concerted effort here to really try to make North Carolina the best state in the nation for Black founders to start and thrive.
Yeah.
So
we're still on that mission.
Yeah.
And the first time I met you, you had on a Black Wall Street t-shirt, like a runaway brand, I think.
Yeah.
Black Wall Street t-shirt. The first time I saw you was in the foyer of American Underground on Main.
Yeah, you were code 2040
EIR.
Google for entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was
in 2015, 2014?
2016.
Well, by the time you got here. You
Yeah.
came after I was here for a little bit.
Actually, you're right. Yeah, because I actually came down. I mean, I had been on the board at the Keenan Institute of Private Enterprise for 10 years prior.
Yeah.
So I had been coming down. I remember I got a tour of the American Underground when it was still under construction.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So when I was still at the Kauffman Foundation.
Yeah. That's probably 2013 and 2012.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Michael and Adam gave me a tour. We were sitting down in the vault.
Yeah.
And they were painting it with this industrial stuff.
Yeah.
And we were just getting high on the fumes and a headache. And it was like, we had to
go upstairs.
We had to go upstairs. But I was like, I could see this is going to be cool.
Yeah. And now they're in a new location all these years later. Like,
isn't that something?
I had to go by there and check it out. I heard it looks great. But you had on the shirt. And then you ended up there was that Big Mac that was in there over the steps when you walked through American Underground. You were kind of standing over in that way. And I was like, never seen a white guy in a Black Wall Street t-shirt. And I said, well, who's he? And I got poked around on the internet. I said, well, I called people. I said, well, who's this guy legit? And it was somebody in Kansas City who verified that you were legit. And I was like, all right. And then we went and met. That's when you had an office, like on that first floor, I think.
Yeah.
Like right there in the
street level.
Yeah, street level office, right? Small office.
Yeah.
Yeah, small office.
I shared it with Andrea.
Yeah. I used to go in there and speak to you back in the day. Yeah, man. Yeah.
Yeah, that was it's hard to believe it's been 10 years.
Crazy.
I mean, like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, we started right then. I mean, like right from the jump. I mean, first of all, I didn't know. I don't think you've ever shared with me that you did kind of a reality check on me. So I feel like I dodged a bullet there. Luckily, somebody vouched for me.
It was two people. It was the Prentice Earl guy,
Oh, yeah.
right? I was connected to him through a guy named Nate Jones.
Yep. Know them
And
both well.
because before then, before I came to Durham, I really wanted to go to Silicon Valley. I wanted to become one of the guys on Sand Hill Road. I wanted
Yeah,
to be a
Nate ended
venture
up doing
capital.
that.
Yeah, he was at Andreessen Horowitz at that
Yeah.
time, and that's where I met him because I was out there with my last few $100s. I bought a ticket out there to meet some of the guys on the Andreessen Horowitz team, and there was a big like dinner they did with the talk, and that's where I met Nate. And then I had met, I think, Prentice online somehow, because of just entrepreneurial work. And I saw these guys know Kansas City, and I said, well, there's this guy Tom that's poking his head around here, and I know these black guys, I said, well, what's up with this guy? I said he had the Black Wall Street shirt on in the lobby, a block from Black Wall Street. You know him? And they were like, yeah, he's great. He's been putting in work for a long time.
Prentice in particular, Nate I obviously know from my time there, but Prentice and I worked together. So I stole him from a different department at the Kauffman Foundation. And it took me about, I think 12 seconds to, suss him out as like the real deal.
Yeah.
He's all in. He's all gas, no brakes, man. Like he's there for the cause, and he is authentic, and just such a good person. And so I loved every minute working with him.
Yeah.
And frankly, if he didn't have so much family connectivity there in Kansas City, I'm sure he'd be living and working in North Carolina at a little organization called NCIDEA. But I'm glad he could vouch for me and that we could then collaborate because we've kind of seen each other grow in this ecosystem for the 10 years.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I've always enjoyed hanging out with you, mostly because I think we're kind of kindred spirits in like, why are we all here, right? And what's the point of the work we're doing? And what should our ambition be?
Yeah.
And things of that nature. And I remember, of the many things I remember you saying that stuck with me, and I have plagiarized it, but with credit.
Okay.
So I've never taken credit for your wisdom, but the one I remember the first day I heard you say it, and you said it a lot since, but this no coaching without capital.
Yeah, that.
Right. And it just was so profound because if you're doing stuff in the equity space, even well-intended, good people have these huge blind spots.
Yeah.
And they just think it's a great privilege that, I'm going to take time out to give you some advice.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't I give you the floor to talk about that?
Well, that's one of my favorite quotes. No coaching without capital. And I can't take credit for it. I think it kind of happened in the zeitgeist of like entrepreneurship in 2015, 2016-ish. I heard Arlen Hamilton say it. I heard a bunch of like, VCs that were running programs say it. And then I just started to make sure I said it as loud as I could locally because I'm just tired of the hey, let me show you how I would do this.
Right.
Versus saying, let me see how you're doing this, figure out, what your gaps are, which usually is money, and put some money into it alongside the coaching, right? So that's one of my favorite quotes. I could give my other two favorite quotes right now. So
please.
So it'll be on record that these are my quotes, and like Tom, is recalibrating them as he may. One is still appropriate all the time. Is right. If a nickel bag is sold in the park, I want in. Have you seen the movie? You know where it came from. I use that. My other one is everything you see is just a thought manifested. Everything you see is just a thought manifested. My favorite quote, say it all the time whenever I'm speaking, whenever I'm trying to inspire myself or others. And that quote is attributed from Dead Prez rap group. And I've looked all through the lyrics, like, did they really say this the first time? And they did. And it's a beautiful.
Because I've heard it before. I've heard it since. I've heard it from in other contexts.
Yeah.
And like big speakers, I get like big speaking fees have said like a version of it.
I mean, I think there's a version of that goes back into like, like just like philosophy,
right?
The way it's articulated, in their music helps me really think and calibrate, because I consider myself a creative person, and I have to
you
remember.
definitely are.
Thank you. I have to remember like everything from like this microphone to the foam on this microphone to my lapel and somebody putting, a stitch there in this cup and this. Well, every single thing started with an idea,
Yep.
right? Every single thing, but it was paired with, the appropriate amount of resources to turn it into the thing, right?
Right.
And then continue to, pour life into it.
I appreciate that about you because you're on message really well. Because
Yeah.
I think we were at an event together at the public library, and
Mm.
Mayor Leo was there, and we
Yeah.
were announcing these great grants
Yeah.
that I think we helped fund,
Yeah, you did.
and you give that very inspirational. I mean, I think it's one of those things that people kind of like intuitively understand, but it's good to hear it stated,
Yeah.
right? Like, look at everything in here. The
Everything.
technology in that microphone, like you said, and
Yeah.
that you use that as an example, and then in your phones, and all of it had to come from somewhere,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's the product of somebody's creativity,
Hmm.
and then their kind of resilience to pursue it.
Yes.
And I think that's just it's profound, and it's great that we worked that in. Now, since we're sharing
Yeah.
our personal slogans, I'm going to tell you, I'm so committed to mine. I had it tattooed on my arm, and I can't take credit for this.
That's fly.
That is,
Yeah.
that's 2,000 years old, and it's attributed. It's not known exactly who said it. I've
Mhm.
seen that it's a old Persian statement.
Yeah.
But blessed are those who plant trees under whose shade they will never sit.
That's fly.
Right?
Yeah.
That's kind of like for whatever years
Mhm.
that I may have left
Yeah.
on this blue marble. That's what I want to do. I want to plant trees so that the people that follow me
Mhm.
have shade,
Yeah.
because it is hard.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's very
You might
hard.
have to bleep that, Christian.
Mm.
I can't help myself, man. Just
Oh,
Talib brings out the authentic me.
yes, I really got
This stuff is hard, right?
Yeah.
And so I think if we are in a position to help those that are following, put coupons in the karma bank, so to
Yeah.
speak.
Coupons in the karma bank. That's good.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, you could live your life in a lot worse ways.
Mhm.
So, I want to get a little more granular though, because you
Yeah.
got so much to talk about and
Yeah.
offer.
Yeah.
I went down some of your titles here.
Yeah.
I'm not going to prioritize. Why don't you pick one of them where we can
Mhm.
talk a little deeper
Yeah.
about the work that you're leading or you're part of.
Let's start with Partners in Equity.
I was hoping you were going to go there.
Partners in Equity. That is a private equity fund, social impact oriented, that myself, Napoleon Wallace, who's a legend in entrepreneurship in North Carolina and beyond, and Wilson Lester, another great champion around entrepreneurship, all co-founded a few years ago. I guess there's more than a few, but it's all the same. But we were like really three black guys in North Carolina, putting in work, and decided to like grab beers and say, what could we do if we decided to collaborate and work together, right? And a big thing, really common denominator amongst all of us, is we cared about ownership and we cared about moving money, right? We all have run programs, but we wanted to make sure we paired what we learned from programs with the capital to create more room for ownership and wealth creation for entrepreneurs across the state. And we landed on a focus on real estate, right? A focus on owner-occupied commercial real estate, right? So when we talk about our work as private equity investors in real estate, think about the barbershop, think about the veterinarian, think about the doctor, think about the bakery, think about those businesses on Main Street, on Poplar Street that you drive by every day. As commercial real estate, that should be owned by the operators that are inside of them. Like, one thing I hate is rent. Like, the only thing that I really kind of like is like my Marriott Bonvoy account. Like, I don't mind like renting, because I still get some points there and it kind of works out. But hate rent, hate it all of it, hate it. So ownership, right? And that's what our fund is focused on. So like, if a business owner
So own the barber shop that you're working in,
yes,
instead of running a business in that space where you have to pay a landlord
Yeah.
for the privilege to be in their four walls.
yeah. And then you triple net lease and you're responsible for everything. Like, God bless the people that own the real estate too. But let's figure out more ways for the owner to operate, to participate in all of the upside of what they bring to the community, right? So like the fabric of our business districts and corridors are the businesses there, right? They're the ones that bring the culture. They're the ones that bring the community. And they're the ones that ultimately enhance the value in that community so it appreciates, 4 or 5% a year, right? So our goal is to foster that ownership. And the way it works is if a business owner is looking to buy their piece of commercial real estate, right? They go to the bank, they get qualified. And you show them their taxes, they get fully underwritten on the business. And the bank says, all right, great. You want to buy your property, it costs $2 million, right? Which is a very real number in Durham and Raleigh right now.
Oh, yeah.
And then you go to the bank, and then after you talk to the bank, they say, well, we'll give you a 20% loan, 80-20, 75-25. So you still got to put down 20%, 25%. So if it's $2 million, you're talking about $400,000 or $500,000, which we've come to find a lot of the business owners that are really in position to do it, they might have 400 or 500, but that's all the cash they have.
Right. That is their nest egg.
That's it, right? And then they have payroll next week, and they, got to do other things. So they oftentimes are kind of left on the sideline when it comes down to making that leap to owning the property and participating in the appreciation of the asset. And that's where our capital comes in, right? That's our unfair advantage. That's what we know, right? So instead of that business owner showing up with 400,000, they show up with 100,000. We put in the other 300,000, and we stay in it patiently as a co-investor in the real estate, not their bakery. And we stay in it for 7 to 10 years until it's time for that commercial mortgage to mature, right? And then hopefully that property that we co-invested in for $2 million is now worth 2.6, right? And then we do a share, on the profit with the business owner.
Based upon the pro rata, I'm assuming.
Exactly. So now that business owner in 17 years wasn't displaced because they owned the real estate,
right?
And they also had this wealth event for themselves through the appreciation of the asset.
That's very cool. Right. Because I would imagine, and forgive me, I'm teeing you up, but it's a data point I want to get into this episode. Not a lot of Black and brown folks owning real estate. Mm-hmm. And yet it's one of the biggest sources of multi-generational wealth. Yes?
Yeah, it's the biggest source. I mean, home ownership in the United States is the single largest indicator or factor, rather, when it comes down to creating wealth. Behind that is the ownership of other forms of real estate. So commercial real estate follows that. That's it.
That's incredible. And obviously, it's one of the reasons why we were happy to support it and be involved in it because we are equity first in all the work we do, which is crazy, man. At the beginning of our relationship on some of this stuff, you mentioned the zeitgeist back in the day. There was a lot of energy and a lot of positive energy and support for that kind of work and being, equity forward. It seems like at the moment, it's a little...
Where?
Here in the U.S. I mean, like, it's a little harder to be kind of true to those values. Or are you seeing that it's still fertile ground? Is it easier now than it was?
I don't know what. This is our first time raising a fund, right? Which we're scheduled to have our second and final close on the fund at the end of this month, which is great. So I haven't been in a fundraising environment during other phases in the U.S., right? In like business. So I don't know. I don't know what hard is, right? I know this is taking longer than we thought it was going to take to raise money, but I don't know what hard is. And I also, it's the first time we raised tens of millions of dollars. So I'm like, high five. You know what I mean? So it's like, all right, okay, maybe one day there'll be a version of this when this is easier. And we'll be like, well, damn, we're really sharper now because we went through the hard part. I don't know. But, what's going on nationally, politically, was also happening locally because it's slowing things down significantly for a lot of folks. It's an impediment, and in many ways, but it also necessitates more capital and more action. Because the time is now. Because I think as I look at like the federal cuts, and changes in how philanthropic capital is working, and I look at private capital, people just making decisions that are different than what they said they were going to do 10 years ago when it comes down to like impacting communities. I'm fortunate to also see the other side of that some other capital was getting activated. Like there's a big push right now within DAFs, right? Donor advised funds. And then also I'm seeing it within just general endowments and working to increase the percentage that they're doing to go into more impact oriented investments versus traditional market investments, which is.
So you're seeing this as a positive.
I'm seeing it as a positive. I have to see it as a positive. Like I have to. Like I have to show up and say, well, have you thought about it this way?
Right.
Like I have to do that.
And you're finding receptive audience for that. I mean, you're closing the second fund, right?
Yeah. But for every action, there's I'm not going to say an equal and opposite reaction, but there's a reaction. Like more than 50% of people, probably going towards 60 right now, are pissed off with this administration and what they're doing, right? Okay, you got 60% of people pissed off. All right, let's talk to them. Let's get some things moving. Let's demonstrate the response to your pissed offness.
Yeah, I'll give you a way to kind of vent your anger by supporting something you can't get behind.
Put your money right over here. We'll be good stewards of it. Like, yeah.
Like spoken like a true entrepreneur, man.
Gotta try. I gotta stay optimistic, man.
Pivot.
Yeah.
Like what's the angle? That's incredible. One of the many reasons I like you and respect you as much as I do. So that's PI.
That's PI.
That's Partners in Equity.
Yeah.
Where do you want to go next?
Partners in Equity, adjacent to Partners in Equity, myself, Wilson, Napoleon, and our board created Resiliency. So that's our think tank that's adjacent to Partners in Equity.
Yep.
And we thought it was really imperative to build a mechanism to amplify our voice and others adjacent to what we're talking about by having our own. Let's call it. You have a podcast. Ours isn't a podcast yet, but it's like a place for thoughtfulness, right? We have articles, we have public symposiums.
Yeah,
meetings.
I've attended some of them.
Yeah, Resiliency is moving. I'm very proud of a project that we just did in Washington, D.C. in the Anacostia community. There's a big project there called the 11th Street Bridge Project, which is they're turning a road bridge that connects Navy Yard area, which is a bustling, community, across the bridge to historic Anacostia, historic African-American community that's been disinvested in for many, many years, right? It's called Anacostia. It's the home of where Frederick Douglass lived in Washington, D.C. His house is still there up on the hill.
Really?
Yeah, it's right there. You can go take a tour of it. So they're turning this vehicle bridge into a pedestrian bridge, right? Similar to this wasn't a vehicle bridge, but there's the biggest public example of this is the High Line in New York City.
Okay.
Right, which is a large pedestrian area now that connects two parts of Manhattan, and up on top of it is a green space, and there's all kind of activities and things you do there, right? So this project is happening, and as a result of it, there's been concern for many years that it could lead to more like rapid gentrification of the community once it's built. And the developers of it are great people, right? That's who we did a project with, because they've been working for years to think holistically about what's the impacts of this big project, right? And we were having a conversation. I said, well, one of the things that Resiliency could do is to help like create a map of existing businesses right now. Like, where's the timestamp of where things are right now before this project is done?
So you have the before.
Yeah, we have the before.
The after to compare to.
Yeah, and then now that we have the before, we can put more things in place right now to help create the after that we want. Right.
Okay.
So what we did was there's a corridor there between which is Marionberry Boulevard and Martin Luther King. So it's like a V, 1 mile up on both sides, right where the bridge lands. And what we did was we did an analysis of tenancy versus ownership and business makeup of all the businesses on the corridor. I think 162 businesses, and we took that and ran the analysis on ownership, ran analysis on current, retail leases in the community versus other parts of Washington, D.C., which pointed to speculation because of the development that's going to happen with the project, right? So we've taken all this. We had these findings of these findings that we got from the report. We shared it with the community, and now it's time to get to action, right? That's an example of like something that resiliency really does.
Let me ask you this. I don't want to put you on the spot.
Yeah.
So I know you operate, you got a lot of things going on in the community, but if you had to give, ourselves a score, a grade.
Who's ourselves?
Raleigh, Durham, North Carolina, whatever, however you want to define ourselves. How would we score on the Talib ranking on that thoughtfulness?
How would they? I don't know if I'm part of the we.
We in the sense of our geography.
How would North Carolinian business people and politicians score on a Talib metric of, you really thought about this?
Yeah.
4.
Yeah. Okay.
Like a 4-ish.
On a 10 scale.
On a 10 scale, not a 20.
I was just gonna say you might have been saying that on a 100.
Yeah, because it's I drive up and down the highway. You see the sign that says CNBC says North Carolina is #1 for business, and then I go on LinkedIn and I open up WRAL and like 20,000 people are moving here every minute. Right. And then I leave for a few months and I come back and like, why am I in a traffic jam? All right, there's something to all these people coming here.
Right.
And so I've been back and forth to DC a lot over the past like 2 years, right? So I am seeing the differences that I would probably not see if I was here every single day.
Right.
And one of them is the more monolithic everything. Some things are starting to look more the same and similar. And I'm like, yeah, I don't like that. That's not what we're trying to do here. Like this. I mean, Carrie goes, Panera Bread is going to be next to a Lululemon. It is next to. I'm like, this is stop, please.
Yeah.
Like, so there's that, and then the creative type of capital, whether it's already an institution or there's a partners in equity. I'm not seeing enough of that innovation showing up to meet to meet the needs of business owners in a rapidly developing state.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more on that. I mean, we have been stretching our dollars.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as you can stretch a piece of U.S. currency without tearing it.
Mm-hmm.
I just had my latest annual board meeting. So, we have quarterly, but we have one quarterly board meeting. It's always the annual meeting where our budgets have to get approved.
Yeah.
And this is now the 6th year, to the credit of my bosses, the board of directors. This is the 6th year I brought forward a budget that has multi-million-dollar deficit.
Mm-hmm.
We are overspending our means, right? In private foundation, the rule of thumb is, 5 and 8. We are, by law, we have to spend 5% of assets under management. And you hope that your assets are generating at least 8%.
Yeah.
So that you can grow the endowment by 3% per year and exist in perpetuity, right?
Yeah.
Without regard for whether or not you should exist in perpetuity, whether or not you're even having an impact. We have been running budgets of 10, 11. As a matter of fact, the one that was just approved was 11.5%. And we're not earning 11.5% across all of our assets, right?
Yeah.
So we're cutting into the bone, but we're doing so, and the staff and the board have stacked hands on this because we see the need. And when I look at things, especially that you've been attached to, whether it's been Pi, Resiliency, Knox Studios, like we understand the impact of the work. But we're a rounding error. Like we're a tiny thing. And I sometimes want to look at some of these much larger, longer established, decades long here. And the one thing I think that the story that doesn't get told enough is, the original source of these endowments came from entrepreneurs. Right? Think of the biggest brand names that you hear foundation size, right? Gates, Kaufman, Skoll, Like these are all successful entrepreneurs. Like, so where's the kind of the commitment to your history, to say nothing about your commitment to purpose and geography?
Yeah.
Because I sure could use some help
Yeah.
in funding these types of projects. And I don't understand the lack of urgency around it. If I'm being honest, it pisses me off. You talked about pissing people off
Yeah,
earlier. It pisses me off
yeah.
because there's a lot of money in this state.
There's a lot of money in this state. There's a lot of money all around. You skipped over a part. Like, yeah, there's this nice story around these entrepreneurs that did extremely well long time ago, and now the fruits of their labor are these foundations that do a 5 and 8 and 10. All right, let's not glaze over what the labor force was like when a lot of these entities were built. Okay,
All right.
you had it's slaves, you had indentured servitude, you had you had you had poverty, you had people with no voice, you know, working to stay alive and afloat and work toward a better life for themselves. And then there's these sequence of events where policy changed to make it a little better for these people to survive and to work. But no matter what, the largest cash beneficiary is the owner of that enterprise.
Sure.
And then now we're still existing off the fruits of that labor. So when I think about the conversation sometimes even we have it with potential LPs about, you know, the source of the capital that they're now entrusted to manage through philanthropy, let's make sure we're looking through it through this lens as well. So there's I mean, if you really, getting into like, well, why don't so many more Black people own their building? They already own MLK, right? Okay, well, let's back into it. It's not there's a lot of systemic reasons why they don't own it. There's a lot of reasons why. And a big part of the reason why is capitalism. Big part of the reason why what happened right here locally, that these people never ended up owning the asset. Or sometimes you go deep into the records, you're like, damn, looks like they owned it, but how the hell did they not end up owning it? What happened what happened at this event right here? When you look through the deep, there's so much to unpack there. So I think that the capital, right? I think that 5, 8, 10, 5% really that's the number. I think that needs to like quadruple.
I mean, is it crazy they say at least be commensurate with the allocation of the population?
What are we talking about here?
Right? Like, so what percent of the population is African American? How about if ownership just matched that?
I mean, that's like written on like my mirror. Like it was written on my actual mirror at one point, which is one of the, I used to like, I literally years ago when this is like when I wanted to go to Silicon Valley and like be a venture capitalist, right? I had stopped working a corporate job. They kind of put me in the office, like the movie Office Space, and gave me a stapler. It was weird as hell. And then,
I just see you as an indoor cat versus an outdoor cat.
It worked, but then it didn't work. Like I was like the guy. I just finished my MBA, went to work for this company in Winston-Salem, and they didn't have a place for me to sit. I didn't have an office, so they gave me the cubicle right outside of the C-suite. So it was a CMO, CEO, CFO, right? So that's where I sat, right? And for the first 6 months, I'm the guy getting all the special projects. They walk out, they're being all creative, like, hey, Talib, what do you think? I'm like, well, I think this. Like, yo, do this. And I was knocking it out the park, killing it special project. I even think I got like a patent I wrote with this guy there at the time.
You just preempted one of my trivia questions about you. Like, are you actually a patent holder?
Yeah, a couple, and written trademarks. Write those myself. Yeah. So I was getting all these projects and I was working there, and then they opened up a cubicle for me. And I moved from sitting outside of the office with those guys, across the building, and got put into the marketing department, and then did a couple of cool projects. And then I didn't know a lot about business and corporate business, right? I didn't know too much about B2B and B2C and how all that works and private equity and all this other stuff. And what I know now is that company, probably a year and a half into, my tenure there, was going to be acquired. So weird stuff started happening, right? Like leadership,
yeah.
people were getting shed. I didn't know what was going on, but then in retrospect, right now, what I know now is a significant change was happening across the
Right.
enterprise. They were getting acquired. Things changed. I was the byproduct of that,
Right.
But anyway, so I went out on my own, and that's when I think I got like 1, 2 more checks, and I was hustling. And I've always had many jobs. And one of my favorite jobs I did for a number of years is at Costco. I sold a drink called Zip Fizz, which I still drink every day. It's my favorite little powdery drink. You put in 16 ounces of cold water, gives you 4 to 6 hours of energy, tastes great, 0 calories, 10 calories, 0 sugar, 2 carbs. It was delicious, right? I like the tangerine flavor. So I was selling that, making enough money to pay the mortgage and everything because I still hate rent. I own the house then. And I was like, wow, I need like a whiteboard because I had a whiteboard at the office. And I was like, this whiteboard costs $100 plus the markers. I was like, all right. And at that time in, my condo, the whole wall was glass, right? It was like a 70s condo. I just doing
Right.
glass up. So I was like, you know what? All I need is a marker. I need a dry erase marker. So I went to Walmart, bought some markers, and then I have photos of it, the whole wall, and it was in 2 rooms with glass walls, was all these business ideas I had. And I would write them on the wall and look at them, have friends come over. We would be creative and write things different on the wall. And 3 of those, there was only 3. 3 of those businesses turned profit, right? After all the years of doing the work. So I believe in writing things down.
So friends would come over, maybe share a glass of Blanton's.
Yes, Blanton's.
Which I have to say, for all future guests, as you are a first in many ways, the first guest to come and bring me such a very generous gift. So very thoughtful. We have shared a brain cell or 2 over the years, but I believe in that. And
hold on. I'm the first person to bring you a really nice gift like that? Listen, people, this is Tom Ruse, a very generous person. You all should be ashamed of yourself for not bringing Tom more gifts. Please bring Tom more gifts. Thank you.
Thanks for that PSA.
Yes,
I appreciate it. The point I was trying to make is that you are a master. Your social IQ is probably unmeasurable, in the sense that it's off the charts. Because I've seen you work the room. I've been present to be in your aura. And that can't be understated. You coach a lot of people. The programs you do at Knox help aspiring entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
And I would be remiss if in this episode we didn't extract some of your advice and some of like the instinct you share with people, because I think social engagement is like one of your superpowers, one of several of your superpowers. Because that's, how I've seen you interact. And you were mentioning Napoleon and Wilson and others. I remember I was hosting when our office was on the roof of the power plant building at the American Tobacco campus. I was hosting, we called it Black Guys in Bourbon. And I would order pizza and we would have whiskey and other stuff. And I don't know how it focused or originally was birthed as just Black men around Durham, but it was thought leaders like you all coming over and socializing ideas.
Yeah.
Because this is how stuff gets figured out in that engagement model. So I'm rambling to tee you up, man. If you're, a young person right now, and maybe it is, I'm coming through on some of this great AI work, by the way, you guys are leading at Knox. Right? To help unleash this as the potential superpower it can be for founders. What would you say to those that are tuning in right now?
If you're an entrepreneur, a budding entrepreneur, an idea entrepreneur, and you're not waking up every day like way more excited than you ever have to like figure out something that's going to make some money and make some impact, then you need to like get a shot in your arm. Something's wrong with you, because like I wish I had more me's. You know what I mean? Because there's so much to do right now. there's so many ways to hack at getting to profit right now and to solving for issues right now. I was watching a interview with I forgot the guy's name, but he was the former CMO of Google. He's written a couple books. His name might be like Mo or something
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, he's interviewing this guy, and this guy was interviewing him, and he was just talking about. He's kind of like me. He's like, well, he's not kind of like me. This guy was the CMO of Google. I'm not nowhere near that level, but he was talking about this decision around like if AI is good or bad, right?
Right.
And teasing out and sussing out the conversation. Well, it's how you look at it. If we want it to be good, then it will be good, but we have to work within it to make it do what we want it to do. And I was just thinking about like all of the things that would have taken me months and years to hack through, especially on the data side, when I can throw that thing in there in 24 hours, cut through and get to the analysis that I want and turn that into it. I have like a dozen ideas right now. And maybe I need to do something like have a whole bunch of people come over for like, bourbon and cigars, and we hack ideas and just turn the recorder on and see what we come up with and see what we can just build and throw at the wall and see what sticks and makes money. Because there's so many things that can be done.
Man, I could go on for hours with you. It's my custom.
Yeah.
Christian gave me we got to wrap it up sign when you were not looking. So I want to give you the last word. So let's take it from this perspective. Let's pretend we've got policymakers.
Yeah.
We've got mayors. We've got heads of donor advised funds.
Yeah.
I mean, we all are part of this experiment we call humanity, right? And despite all the challenges, global strife, unrest, uncertainty, right? Like at some point, there's enough, hopefully, of a critical mass of people that understand we're in this thing together. And to the extent that we can look out for one another and like work together towards common purpose, common cause, we'd be better off.
Yeah.
What would that purpose be in your mind?
I don't know. I was thinking of, as I think about that, I thought first thing that came to my mind was like, what would you do? Operate as if no one was looking. And I said, I don't know about that, because a lot of people are operating as if no one is looking.
Point of
I
order.
think maybe if we flip it and say, why don't you operate as if everyone is looking at the decisions that you're making, especially when you're people that have influence over capital and money. Operate as if everybody can see you doing that thing that you're doing, and you had to really be thoughtful about the impact it was having globally. So,
and would you make your mama proud?
Would you make your mom proud?
I take your point, right? Operate as if you were exposed to the light of day. And would you want to defend your decisions? Could you be proud of those decisions? Would those decisions inspire people?
Yeah.
Or would they elicit, negative response? And then maybe pay attention if that's the case. I think we're not going to, I don't want to get political, but, I think about certain decisions an administration can make. And if like your global enemy is applauding that decision, maybe take a beat and think about it and say, all right, maybe that's not the right thing to do. Right. Versus if the rest of the free world that like we all kind of share the same values and like helping people, like if they're saying, hey, you're making the wrong decision, or we really like that decision, maybe that's that feedback. And to your point, operate like it's being seen by everybody, right? It's going to be printed in the local paper in the next morning on the front page.
And hopefully we get to the point where there's people that are whistleblowing on the BS. And there's never been, going back to the AI conversation, there's never been a time where it's easier to do a decisioning chart on the impacts and the downflow cycle of what it is that you're making decisions on and the people and the communities and the world that it's impacting. You're being lazy now. You're being lazy and you're being complicit.
Yeah, that's profound.
Yeah.
I think we're going to have to leave it there. Boy, I hope you've enjoyed this episode as much as I have.
I have.
It's one of the privileges I have in my work, being with people like you. Like I said, we're united in purpose by our values. That doesn't mean we have to agree or everybody's got to agree on everything 100% of the time. It doesn't have to be kumbaya. But if everybody comes at it from the right perspective with the right heart and good intention, like what survives the process,
Mm-hmm.
is probably going to be good for humanity. And I think humanity is well served by having you in it and the work you do. It's been a privilege to support you, and thank you so much. And I hope we continue to collaborate for many years to come.
Yeah.
And as always, to the viewers, if there's a topic, if there's a guest, if there's anything you think we need to cover on this, please let us hear from you wherever you stream your podcast. You get a hold of us. And once again, thank you, Talib Gravesman. Thank you also for your generosity.
The people at Blanton's.
I hope we can share that gratitude together for many years to come.
Yeah. Thank you.
Stay connected with NC Idea on LinkedIn and Facebook. Subscribe to our newsletter for all the latest. Catch new episodes of Ecosysteming every other Tuesday. Thanks for tuning in and being a part of this thing of ours.